are back. Chanel joins the conversation here. We've got more of our special series focusing on mental health in America. And Carson, I know this one means a lot to you.
Yeah, it definitely does, Savannah. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, is World Mental Health Day. And just consider this, an estimated 65 million people are living with a mental health condition, yet 60% of those people aren't getting the help that they need. I had a chance to recently sit down with the rapper and musician Logic to discuss both of our struggles with anxiety and his new partnership with an organization that wants to make getting help a lot easier. Rapper Logic at the 2017 MTV Video Music Awards, viewed by almost 40 million people since that day, may have saved an untold number of lives.
The 1-800 song obviously was, I mean, I know what it did for other people's lives. You saved lives. What did it do for you?
Yeah, it completely and utterly changed my life. It was the biggest platform I had at that moment in my life, and I wanted to say something.
The song is called 1-800-273-8255, the number for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's an imagined phone call between someone in pain and a lifeline operator. After the VMA's performance, calls to the hotline went up a staggering 50% from those looking for help, and opened up a national dialogue on mental health that was desperately needed. Even more so now with the pandemic.
And I wondered if you thought during this crazy time, unless you're an essential worker, a parent, or a teacher, like you have a lot of time to yourself and your thoughts. How's that been for you? Is that a benefit or a burden, would you say?
What a beautiful question, dude. It's kind of crazy because, I'm sorry. I have always been able to talk to my notebook, right? But even then, there are things that I hadn't dealt with, but I see a therapist. I see a therapist once a week. She's the bomb. And it allows me to get these thoughts out. But even before her, I was always still speaking to loved ones and people that I felt close with, even if it was difficult and scary to initiate. So I think that is something that's really important. Like, not to sound cheesy, but it's like, okay, yeah, if you're at home alone in this pandemic, you're not really alone, man. Like, if you got the internet or a phone or some source, if you could write someone, pen pal, man, like get it out. Don't keep it inside.
And now, Logic wants to make it easier for you to not only get those thoughts out, but to find someone to talk to. He partnered with Project Healthy Minds. The founder and CEO, Phil Shermer, was able to join us.
So Phil, if you can, jump in with Logic and I know there's sort of like two main goals for the organization. What are they?
The first goal is to shatter the stigma of mental health. And the second is to make it easier for people to find mental health services. We've brought together all of the mental health services that we can find, and we've tried to aggregate it in one place to make it really easy for people to find what's right for them.
And this past summer, Logic announced what was right for him was to retire from rapping, after not only releasing his 6th studio album, No Pressure, but also becoming a first-time father.
If I was gonna come back, I wouldn't rap because I'm so over rap, and that hopefully won't be misquoted as everyone likes to do. But I'm more strumming a guitar and hanging out with producer homies and writing lyrics about my life as a father and a man and dealing with anxiety.
If somebody's watching this right now and they're perked up in their chair a little bit listening to our conversation and they're struggling, what do you say to them?
It's hard to see the light, you know, when you're in the depths, in the darkest part of the tunnel. Anything that anybody could be going through alone in the depths of their mind and they feel like they can't get out of it, dude, you totally can. And you will laugh later. It is a real thing. You can 100% get out of it, but it's by making positive steps. You can make it, man.
What a great guy.
Yeah, it helps to hear other people talk about it. You know, a lot of people are struggling right now. They're struggling in general, certainly during the pandemic. I've struggled for many, many years, and I worry mostly about, as I've said on this show before and other places, about the millions of people who are in this country and around the world struggling in silence and don't know what to do, don't know that first step. The mental health space is a very large delta between, let's say, pediatric anxiety, where you don't know if it's how bad it is, all the way to depression and suicide and everything in between. It's a large area to navigate. And where I like the conversations are happening publicly, and people like Logic and people like Project Healthy Minds that aggregate all these services. And at least it's a place to point to for people to go and say, let me just start here. Because bottling it up, we all know, is not a good idea.
It feels so overwhelming, but I love how he's just like, basically just speak it.
Very impressed by him.
Write somebody, write it down. He tells his notebook, you know, just speak it. Get it outside of you is the first step.
We had a long interview, and you can see the whole thing at today.com if you'd like to check it out. We also both experienced panic attacks, which is interesting if you'd like to hear about that, and how some helpful tools on that front. You can watch that.
I've been a fan of his music for years now, and would encourage folks to go listen to some of his music as well, because he speaks his truth through his lyrics. So I was a little disappointed to hear he's retiring, but it sounds like maybe he's not retiring. Maybe he's just going to move into a different genre.
I think you're right. He's a great writer, too. He does a lot of
Yes.
And the power of
But he's a father right now. He wants to focus on fatherhood.
the power of his influence, the fact that the hotline calls increased 50% after he released that song.
Thanks for that, man.
Good deal.